In 1871, the unification of Germany under Prussian rule created a new superpower in the heart of Europe, one that would soon shift the balance. Europe turned into a diplomatic chessboard as new alliances emerged. Germany with Austria-Hungary, Britain with France and Russia. A massive arms race gripped the continent. Nations poured wealth into battleships, rifles, and pride. In the Balkans, nationalism boiled over. Slavic movements grew bold, challenging empires with ancient grievances. June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand toured Sarajevo, unaware of the shadow following him. With 2 bullets, Gavrilo Princip ignited the deadliest conflict in human history. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, setting the alliance systems in motion like falling dominoes. Within days, Europe was ablaze. The Great War had begun, and there was no turning back. As the declarations of war echoed, millions of soldiers answered the call to arms with grim determination. Germany launched the Schlieffen Plan, sweeping through neutral Belgium in a bid to quickly defeat France. The British Expeditionary Force met the Germans at Mons, outnumbered but fiercely resistant. In the east, Russia's massive armies invaded Prussia, forcing Germany to split its forces. At Tannenberg, Germany's generals encircled and crushed the Russian Second Army. The Battle of the Marne halted Germany's advance and shattered dreams of a quick victory. Armies dug into trenches across France and Belgium. The Western Front froze into brutal stalemate. Across Europe, hope of a short war faded into a grim realization. This conflict would devour a generation.
On the Western Front, the war turned into a brutal test of endurance. The horrors of trench warfare consumed soldiers. Mud, rats, and disease spread as they waited in fear for the next assault. In 1815, the Allies launched an ill-fated Gallipoli campaign to open a new front but faced disaster. Meanwhile, the Germans unleashed new technologies, gas attacks that choked and blinded the soldiers. The Battle of Verdun in 1816 became one of the longest and deadliest engagements, with French and German forces locked in a battle of attrition. Hundreds of thousands of lives were lost in futile attempts to break the deadlock. But the Allies refused to give in. Through the hardships, new tactics emerged, and the world slowly learned the true cost of war. In 1917, the war spread beyond Europe's borders. The Russian Revolution led to the collapse of the Eastern Front, allowing Germany to shift its forces to the west. Meanwhile, the United States entered the war, bringing fresh troops and resources to the Allied cause. The arrival of America in the summer of 1916, one of the bloodiest battles unfolded at the Somme. The British and French forces launched an offensive to relieve pressure on Verdun. But the strategy led to catastrophic losses. Soldiers advanced into a hailstorm of machine gun fire with little to no protection. The battle turned into a horrific meat grinder, with over 1 million casualties by its end. Yet, despite the staggering losses, the Allies gained little ground. The battle became a symbol of the futility and the terrible price of the war.
Beyond the trenches, the war raged at sea. The Germans unleashed unrestricted submarine warfare, sinking Allied ships without warning. In response, Britain implemented a blockade to starve Germany into submission. The clash of fleets at the Battle of Jutland in 1916 proved indecisive. Yet, the German fleet's failure to break through was a key moment. As the naval blockade tightened, the German economy began to falter. But the toll was not one-sided. The war at sea brought the world to the brink of total devastation, pushing the nations involved toward ever more extreme tactics. By 1918, the weight of war had fractured the great empires of Europe. Austria-Hungary, exhausted by years of fighting, began to crumble from within. The Ottoman Empire, which had once been a mighty force, now found itself collapsing under the pressures of war. Meanwhile, Germany, on the verge of collapse, launched one final offensive to break the Allies' lines. Yet, despite their last-ditch efforts, they were repelled. The Allies, now bolstered by fresh American forces, launched their own offensive, pushing the Germans back. The stage was set for the end of the war. The empires that had once ruled Europe were now on the brink of destruction.
On November 11, 1918, the guns of war fell silent. After 4 years of relentless bloodshed, the armistice was signed. The war was over. Millions of soldiers who had fought and died in the trenches now lay silent in fields across Europe. The world, forever changed by the scale of destruction, began the slow process of recovery. But the peace that followed was fragile. The bitter memories of the war would shape the world for decades to come. The Treaty of Versailles would draw new borders, but the scars of the conflict would never fully heal. The war's end did not bring peace. Instead, it sowed the seeds of future conflicts. The Treaty of Versailles, designed to punish Germany, led to widespread resentment and economic hardship. The world witnessed the rise of totalitarian regimes, as leaders like Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and others capitalized on the anger and disillusionment that followed the war. The fragile peace collapsed, and Europe was drawn into another world conflict. The horrors of World War I set the stage for an even greater tragedy.
The war's end did not bring peace. Instead, it sowed the seeds of future conflicts. The Treaty of Versailles, designed to punish Germany, led to widespread resentment and economic hardship. The world witnessed the rise of totalitarian regimes, as leaders like Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and others capitalized on the anger and disillusionment that followed the war. The fragile peace collapsed, and Europe was drawn into another world. The horrors of World War I set the stage for an even greater tragedy.
The Great War ended, but its echoes shaped the world for generations. Heroes rose, empires fell, and history was rewritten in blood. If you enjoyed this journey through the past, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more epic history stories brought to life.